Welcome to once again another riveting edition of the Money and Market Show. And on the show today, we're discussing a number of critical elements to business, stretching from what is critical. Is it the capital, that is the money, or the human resource for you to make it in the business world, to aspects of Uganda's grain subsector and what is stopping it from actually occupying the place it's supposed to occupy within the East African region. Again, in the same breath, we are looking at what is important for an entrepreneur to actually stay in the game. Many tend to put emphasis on the business and forget their health. Once again, it is Money and Markets. I'm Charles Ward, your host. You're welcome. Now, first off, if you spoke to a number of entrepreneurs in Uganda today, they will tell you that one of their biggest problems to actually doing business or making it in business is capital or the cost of money. However, if you speak to a number of pundits, again, they will tell you that no, it goes beyond the money. It is the human resource. And in here, they're looking at attitude and, of course, the ability and spirit to work by the Ugandan human resource. Let's take a look.
And personally, I believe that one of the challenges we face in our entrepreneurship journey is staying too small, too long. And yet at the same time, growing too rapidly can lead us to different problems. And so therefore, the balance has to be found. Now, whenever you speak to, especially micro, small and medium entrepreneurs in Uganda, they will say that the biggest challenge they face is lack of access to finance. On a personal basis, I tend to differ. And I keep saying as a personal dictum, don't let money stand in your way. From personal observation and having been around a bit, working in different parts of Uganda, especially in rural development, looking especially at agribusiness, and also being in the urban now for more than 20 years, having been in Karamoja, having been in Masindi, having been in Kabale, looking at the whole of Uganda, I don't think that the biggest challenge we face is lack of access to finance. I passionately believe that our biggest challenge, especially as small and medium enterprises, our biggest challenge is the human resource, the quality of the human resource. And what I mean is, when you find people who have got good brains, the right education, and when I say education, it doesn't mean they've gone to university, but that they've gotten the right kind of training and nurturing. People who have got a very good mind in terms of understanding what needs to be done. They might be artisans, they might be manager level. When you find those who are good at their work, technically, a lot of the time, their integrity is lacking. And unfortunately, when you find those who have got outstanding integrity, a lot of the time, they're not very good technically. And I go back to the balance that we need to be able to find that person who has got the right standing in themselves and they have the brain. And unfortunately, a lot of the time, when you find such a person as a small and medium enterprise, you don't keep them very long because the big boys take them away. And that's how it happens, that as small and medium enterprises, we find it very hard to grow because you find it hard to replicate yourself. You can't say, let me open a branch here and let me open a branch there, because the moment you open a branch, the person that you put in there either doesn't have the right mind, make it run without necessarily having to lean on you, or if they're willing to run it without leaning on you, they are looking to see what they can take out. So the lack of integrity becomes an issue. Now, at another level, which is still a human resource issue, people have come together, maybe they are partners equal in a business, they start small, they grow big. When they get to a certain amount of money, again, which is a human resource issue, the pride takes over. One mistreats the other, I make more money than you, I don't want to listen to you, let's split. We've seen companies here, just when they should be consolidating, the next thing you know is they are splitting. I consider that a human resource issue, that we need to find the integrity, the wit, and the humility to make our businesses grow. And for me, that is the biggest challenge. It's not the lack of access to capital. What do you see with Bonaba Gagawale? What do you see with the different schemes we have in Uganda? You hear that the enforcers are running after people to bring back the money. And a lot of the time, it's not because they tried and failed. It's because the integrity was just not there. And so my thinking is we need to go back and say, let's look at Ubuntu Bulamu, the mindset. And I have to be honest with you, that's one of the areas where I did fault the current parish development model. I was of the very strong view, I still am, that we should look at the mindset first, not simply in terms of how to use money, which can be a skill, but in terms of what do you want money for? What do you use money for? By the way, is it really money that is the problem? How do you go about growing money? Do you have an idea of what it means to say no to your brother? This is not my money, it is business money.
The Ugandan grain subsector has been marred with several issues. One of them are rejections by several East African countries. Now, we're trying to explore what exactly is the problem. Is it purely standards or something else? Let's take a look in this segment. Uganda is increasingly becoming a major grains exporter within the East African region. The country, however, still struggles to meet the requisite standards as evidenced by the numerous cases of Ugandan grain rejections, first by Kenya in 2021, then Tanzania, and of late, South Sudan, over standards. The concern in all cases is the existence of high levels of aflatoxins in the Ugandan grain, elements that are considered to pose a high risk to health. To Ugandan grain exporters, the problem is deeper, with some claiming that some of their produce, which has been cleared by the Uganda Standards Agency, Uganda National Bureau of Standards, has been rejected by some partner states, which kicks off a tedious and laborious journey that costs them more.
Our regulators here treat them as imports. We call on government and our regulators that please, if I exported my product to an East African country and it is rejected and it is certified, it shouldn't be treated as an import.
This call is in addition to having government engaging its peers in the region to respect the mutual recognition principle and ensure that certification in one member country is recognized across the region. The standards body, however, maintains that several grain industry actors still have a lot of work to do to meet the needed standards.
There are quite a number of areas that they need to work on to enable them meet the standards very well. For example, in most of the businesses that we have visited or that we have interacted with, we're still having issues to do with hygiene. We are still having issues to do with aflatoxin contamination in their products. We are still having issues to do with traceability.
Given the size of the grain sector in Uganda, the standards body is also pushing for self-regulation among members as an effective way of dealing with the standards challenge.
Self-regulation has it's important in many ways. Number one, of course, when someone is self-regulating, they are going to put in the aspects of standards. What are the requirements that one needs to ensure that their products meet requirements of the standards? So that means that UNBS is not going to spend so much time running after different industries to ensure that their industries or their products have a quality mark. So it reduces time on our part as UNBS.
From different quarters, there seems to be consensus that the country's grains traders need to put effort in strengthening standards, while at a national level, Uganda needs to engage more with its peers in the East African community to extract goodwill to appreciate and recognize its certifications and standard marks.